Hey, this is Jeff Lichty of the Calgary Ashtanga Yoga School and Do Yoga With Me. We are going to explore Samastitihi and the first sun salutations of Ashtanga Yoga. If you're new to this practice, this is the opportunity to just dig in and learn something about where we start this great system of Ashtanga. Have a great class. We build the foundation of our practice from a posture called Samastitihi. Sama in Sanskrit means to create equanimity, to be equanimous of mind and body. Stitihi means to stand firm in that, to be firm in this position. And we start at Samastitihi, this posture. We will grow from the feet up to our core, up through the crown of our head, and we'll always be coming back to Samastitihi. So come to the top of your mat and bring your heels and your toes together. And then widen your toes and lift them off the ground, gently putting them down. And from here, I want you to start to pay attention to how the weight of your foot falls onto the ground. We want to distribute the weight underneath the big toe mound, underneath the little toe mound, underneath the outer edge of the heel, and the inside edges of both heels. From your arches up, it's almost as if there was a light that grows and comes right up to your core. And from some center part in the body, we'll be pushing down through the heels and the toes nicely to root into the ground. From here, this downward pressure, this downward rooting is how we start to maintain and gather to our center, lifting the kneecaps, getting strong in the legs, moving the upper inner leg in slightly, hollowing briefly the area between the pubic bone and the navel, and lifting up. We then lift around the iliac crest, the edge of the hip bones, to the floating ribs, and we lift there as well. We lift from the tailbone, the coccyx, to the mid-back. So you're going to feel the opposition of forces in the body now. Because we have to root and press down into the feet, we have to press down from somewhere, and we'll call this our center. The opposition is to lift up tall through the crown of the head, through the spine, so that we're trying to create length through each spinous process, tucking the chin just gently, bringing the hands down to the side, lifting tall through the crown of the head, in order to create this thing called Samastitihi. Now, if you've been doing this at home with me, you're finding that you're already starting to generate heat, and we haven't even moved yet. Your legs are engaged, you're pressing down, you're rooting into your feet, you're feeling the full surface of the foot. There's this downward effort into the feet. There's a growing effort up through the spine, through the crown of the head. And in that spot, we're trying to find this lift. We're going to extend pointed fingers down towards the ground, hands and fingers together, and we're going to roll the shoulders back slightly. We don't want to flare the ribs out. We don't want to flare the ribs down and contract too much here. Rather, what we want to do is we want to find this lift from pubic bone to navel, from the iliac crest into the floating ribs, and from the coccyx up into the mid-back. So just stand here for a minute. Root through the feet again. You can bend your knees even for a little bit. Put the toes, spread the toes wide, put them on the ground, and then push the floor away to grow length through the spine. Extend your fingertips towards the floor and lift. This is called Samastitihi. Now we're taking so much time in this because it's so fundamental to figure out in our world, where is our center? How can we move from our center? And so taking the time to really root and plant wherever you are extending tall through the crown of the head, doing the work of just standing centered is important. And almost anyone can do this. Our teacher Pattabhi Jois would say, anyone can do this yoga. Sick person, old person, young person, anyone can do this yoga. And so we want to be able to find an expression of this practice straight away from our first posture. Iyengar calls this mountain pose. Then the other important quality in Ashtanga yoga is to deal with our breath, because we're going to start to move, but we want to move and we want to synchronize breath and movement. And this synchronization of breath and movement in the Ashtanga of Pattabhi Jois is called vinyasa. And this is why we sometimes call Ashtanga yoga Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. So now let's start to move. If anyone can do this posture, if anyone can do this practice, we want to start creating a system where we can do that. I hope you're starting to work hard. Now we're going to introduce a little bit of breath with sound. So you breathe in and out through your nose. You close the opening. There's a thing called the glottis in your throat where you just close the vocal cords a little bit in order to make sound, enough sound that will be able to start to trap the mind in the breathing. And I'll start to make that sound and you'll be able to hear it. And we call this breath with sound. Occasionally it's called ujjayi, which may not be the most accurate word, but it is with sound. So in and out through the nose. The inhale being the same length as the exhale. The inhale rolling into the exhale. And then just pause for a second, because your feet are probably sore and your legs are sore, and just let it all shake out. But we won't pause long because we want to reestablish samastitihi, and this is what will happen in our practice. We'll keep coming back to this samastitihi, this state of equanimity. Whether we're sitting, whether we're standing, we try to recreate this lifted spine, this strong rooting through the feet. And here we go again. Samastitihi. Spread the toes, bend your knees a little bit, push the floor away, root fully through the ground. Trees don't topple in the wind because they have strong, strong roots. Let's use that metaphor and work with it. Lift tall through the crown of the head, pressing down, finding the center. And then gently you're going to work with the gazing point of someplace off your nose tip, just into the distance, not so that you're looking right at your nose tip and giving yourself a headache, but rather that you're focusing the mind on an external point. Then we engage the breath. I joke with my students, we call the fourth bandha, which is just made up, turning the corner edges of the lips upwards. So we want to soften the mouth slightly, get that slight smile. And now we move. We're going to inhale, bring the hands up. Palms together, look towards the tip of the thumb. And then exhale, bring the hands back down. As they come down, lift tall through the spine, samastitihi. Again, inhale. Look up. Exhale. Bring the hands down. Inhale. Look up to the thumb tips. Exhale. Hands back down. Now you can take your hands out wide and turn them open, but when you do this experiment yourself, till you take your hands back, you'll see there's a spot in your shoulder girdle where it's difficult for you to move. This is what the shoulder's supposed to do. It's called the rotator cuff muscles, and they won't allow you to go further. So you'll have to turn the hands up, turn the shoulders around, and lift right up to look to your thumb tips. Hands back down. We can avoid this movement if it's sore on your shoulders just by turning the hands forward and inhaling into a smooth range of motion straight up. Exhale straight down. And so, in Ashtanga Yoga, we start with something called Surya Namaskara A. Surya Namaskara A, we are going to work through this process of Surya Namaskara A. We'll do a bunch of them, and then we'll do a few seated postures just to complete this most basic beginner practice so that we're able to see that anyone, in fact, can do Ashtanga Yoga. So we inhale, turn the hands forward, bring the hands up. Look to your thumb tips. Exhale, fold forward, reach towards the floor. If you don't reach the floor, put your hands on your shins. It's not a problem at all. Then inhale, you're going to try to flatten your spine a little and look up. Exhale, round your head towards the knees. Doesn't matter how far you get. Make sure your toes are rooted firmly, and then you're going to inhale all the way back up to standing. Stretch the fingertips tall, look to your thumb tips, and exhale, come down. Hands to the side. And we'll do that same movement again. Inhale, the hands come up. Palms together, stretch tall through the fingertips, look to the tip of the thumb. Exhale, fold forward. Keep the legs strong, keep the feet engaged, rooted to the floor. Inhale again, lengthen your spine, look up. Exhale, you can round your head down towards the knees. And once again, with strong feet rooted firmly to the floor, inhale, come all the way up. Palms together, look to your thumbs, and exhale, hands down to the side. And pause here for a second. You might find that your feet are a little bit sore. You might find that your legs are engaged. So just take a minute, just relax, and then we'll come back and we'll start the work again. Heels together, toes together. Now, if your heels don't quite make it, that's no big deal. Just do your best. Widen the toes, lift them up, gently put them on the ground. Light bend in the knees to extend up, lift through the crown of the head. And we start Surya Namaskara A. We inhale, bring the hands up. Look to your thumb tips. Exhale, we're going to fold forward. Inhale, we lengthen the spine and we look up. Now exhale, we're going to work our way back to a hands and knees position. So bend your knees, hands gently come to the ground, and then just step back. There needn't be a gymnastic move. Just find that your hips are above the knees or close to it. Your wrists are above the shoulders or close to it. And pause here. Check in with your breath. Now we're going to do cat-cow for a minute just to start this process. Again, we'll move it more into the full Surya Namaskar in a minute. But we inhale, we're going to arch and look up. Your gaze can come to your nose tip. Then exhale, you're going to round the spine like a cat and lift up, tuck the chin. Let's just do that again. Inhale, try to work from the tailbone, one vertebrae at a time. Unwind the spine. Inhale, let the shoulders come together. Lift, look up. Exhale, from the shoulders down, you're going to start to round, one vertebrae at a time, until you tuck your chin, you tuck your tailbone, and lift up. From here, we're eventually going to move to downward dog, but for now, we're just going to tuck our toes down and under. Lightly come back to this position called child's pose, and bring your hands down. Head down, and relax, and breathe. We'll take 5 breaths here. If this doesn't work for you because of your knees, just stay up. If that doesn't work, you can lift your buttocks up and just keep the knees straighter and let your head come down. If there's too much in the shoulders, just curl everything in. There's no need
to be insistent on anything. We want you to learn to move. And then come to your breath. 5 breaths here. Choose the option that works for you, that doesn't create pain. And we'll call that 5. Now from here, how are we going to get back up? Plant your hands on the ground, press through the palms. Lift, tuck your toes under, and then we're going to push through the legs. This is almost moving us to a downward dog. Step your feet up, however is comfortable. And then inhale. Exhale, we'll round our head down. Again, rooting through the feet, planting strongly through the toes. Inhale, sweep the arms up.
Look to your thumb tip, stretch tall through the fingertips, and exhale, hands to the ground. Now we've done all that movement, reestablish samastitihi. Widen the toes, bend the knees a little, push the ground away, feel the full surface of the floor, extend the fingertips down towards the ground, lift through the crown of the head. And we start again. Inhale the hands up. Exhale, we'll fold forward. If your back is sore, bend your knees a little bit.
If your hands touch the floor, palms down, no problem, just press them down and inhale, look up. And then we're going to step it back again to that hands and knees position. Here we inhale and arch.
Feel the spine round, look to the nose tip. Exhale, tailbone works around. 1 vertebrae at a time, try to go like a cat. Inhale, we're going to find that big arch in the back again as best we can. And then exhale, you can choose your option. It can be child's pose. It can be hips above knees, pressing down through the hands. Or the final option that I want us to explore is now something called downward dog, where we push back through the feet. We lift the hips up. You can walk your feet in a little bit. And then just breathe there. The toes again, you check in. Are you rooting through the full surface of the foot? If your heels are lifted and your knees are bent, no problem at all. If your spine is rounded a little, again, no problem at all. Just breathe. Take 5 breaths here. Inhale and exhale are the same length. Eventually, over time, and it doesn't matter if it's days, months, and in some cases years, the heels will reach the ground, the legs will be straight, the spine will look longer, and then at the end we look down off the tip of the nose towards our navel for the full expression of down dog in the Ashtanga system. Take our 5 breaths here. Look forward. Walk the feet forward, heels, toes together, widen the toes, press them down. Inhale, look up. If the knees are bent, no problem. Exhale, round the head towards the knees. With strength in the feet and connection to the floor, inhale, come all the way up. Stretch the tips of the fingers tall, look to the fingertips, to the thumb tips, and then exhale, hands down to the side. All right. So we have some options there. Now let's just flow through this with the breath a little bit better. So check in with it. Check in where you're at. Give yourself a little break if you need it, but then come back. Remember, we're always coming back to samastitihi. Really, we want to always be coming back to the state of equanimity. We want to create that both in our body and our mind and our breath. So root in. We start to practice by creating samastitihi. Lift, root. And start with your breath. Inhale. Hands up, stretch the fingertips to the roof, look to the thumb tips. Exhale, fold forward.
Inhale the head up and look up. And then exhale, work it back to the hands and knees for a second. From here, we're going to push back through the heels, and we're going to really try to load up a plank position. And again, if this doesn't work for you right now, go to the hands and knees, no problem. You're pushing back through the heels. The shoulders are in line with the hips, which are in line with the heels. And then we bring the head forward and we look forward a little. From here, we're going to exhale with the elbows in, lower down halfway. And then hold it as you come right to the ground. Plant the toes on the ground, leaving the hands where they are. We want to inhale with the front ribs down, pull the shoulder blades back, and your hands will have a slight backwards pressure as you pull into the upper back. Look to the nose tip. From here, chin tucks, forehead towards the ground, toes tuck onto the ground, press the knees off the ground, and then we can work our way up through the push-up, push back through the hips to our downward dog position. Now, if any of those movements create discomfort, just back it up to the previous movements we talked about. If downward dog is too much, back to child's pose, but only for your 5 breaths. Settle into the breath. Inhale the same length as the exhale. Downward dog, toes could be tucked under, knees could be bent, the spine could be rounded, heels lifted, and still, even the arms maybe not quite straight, it's no problem, just breathe. We're interested in synchronizing the breath and the movement. We're less concerned about a specific shape. We want energy to flow, and we want us to learn to move the body again. If your wrists are sore, your shoulders are sore, go back to a previous variation that takes the pain out of the system and allows you to come back to the breath. After your 5th breath, we're going to walk forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine and look up. Exhale, round the head towards the knees. Inhale with the feet rooted firmly into the ground. Press down through the heels. Inhale the hands up, look to your thumb tips, stretch through the fingertips, and exhale. Hands back down and find samastitihi. Let's check in. Samastitihi is a very difficult posture, so I want you to just bring your mind back to that whole establishing of it. Widen the toes, bend your knees a little bit, plant the toes on the ground, press the ground away, press the fingertips away, fingers together, lift through the crown of the head. Lightly look into the distance. Make sure your breath is engaged nicely. We go again. Inhale. Hands up, palms together, look to your thumb tips.
Exhale, fold forward.
Inhale the head up and look up. Exhale, this time we're going to move past the hands and knees position. We're going to step back to a high plank position, pressing back through both heels, loading the strength in the legs, the shoulders above the wrists, and looking forward gently. Pull the navel towards your spine. Keep a strength in the lower abdomen right around the pubic bone. From here, we're going to exhale down halfway. Pause a little bit to create strength and lay right down on the stomach again. Toes tuck under. Inhale, we're going to arch the back, really working the upper back open. Look to the nose tip. Exhale, the head's going to come down, toes tuck under. Press the floor away with the palms, lift the hips up. Take a little cheat step in. Let your head hang. Straighten the legs to whatever variation is going to work for you. And settle your gaze to the ultimate ending point for the gaze, which is the navel Nabhi chakra. Settle into your breath. The inhale smoothly rounds into the exhale. The exhale smoothly rounds into the inhale. After your fifth breath, and we'll call that 5, step it forward. Feet and heels together, toes wide, look up. Exhale, round the head towards the knees. Inhale smoothly all the way up.
Sweep the arms up. Look to the thumb tips and exhale. Bring the hands to the side, samastitihi. Now we're going to do 2 more, and I'm going to flow with these last 2 a little bit more. And the last one, I'm going to count in Sanskrit, just like they would in India. And I'm going to show you where this can go. So we inhale the hands up. Exhale, fold forward.
Hands go to the ground. Inhale, we look up. And then exhale, instead of stepping back, we're going to very lightly hop our feet back by pressing the palms down into the ground. So this is an exhale. And we'll lower down halfway. For this video, we'll just stay on our belly. Inhale the shoulders back. Exhale, tuck the chin. Toes under. Press down. Lift the hips. Step in and breathe. In the same way that we jump back, we can lightly jump forward. Now here, we want to try to hollow from strong engaged toes, strong legs like samastitihi legs that hollow up into the navel. We want to lift this hollowed area. And then inhale, lift and jump up, looking up. Exhale, fold the head towards the knees. Inhale all the way up.
Look to the thumb tips. Exhale, hands to the ground, or to the sides, and breathe. The idea with these Surya Namaskara would be to do 5 of them, or a few more, in whatever variation works for you. And in a minute, we'll flow through 5, or in the next video, we'll flow through 5. But for now, inhale the hands up. Exhale, fold forward.
Inhale your head up, look up. Exhale, jump it back to the high plank and hold there. From here, we'll dip halfway on an exhale into the push-up, elbows in, head forward. Strong legs pushing back through the heels. Instead of going to our belly, we're going to inhale, push over our toes, roll our shoulders back, keep the legs strong and straight. Lift the head and look to the nose tip. And then exhale. Lift up over top, the toes, hips lift, breath is smooth, and breathe. Now your option, you jump or you step back up into the last position. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, round your head to the knees. And inhaling, come all the way up. Exhale, stand tall, samastitihi. Find that lifted position. These are the variations for Surya Namaskara. So let's just finish this light practice for today. Bend your knees, come down to a nice, comfortable sitting position. It doesn't matter if your knees are up high and you're just sitting cross-legged. Doesn't matter if your knees go right to the ground and you can sit in a more comfortable hip-open position. Doesn't matter if you're in half lotus or full lotus, but I want you to just find a comfortable position. For our purposes, we'll just take cross-leg position. Then we're going to reach around our back, inhale. Exhale, round our head down towards the ground. And here we'll breathe. And we take 10 breaths. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And from here we're going to inhale, lift the chin, sit up as best we can. Extend the arms out straight. Extend the last 3 fingers so that they're together. The index finger and the thumb touch on the pads, and we lift tall as we can through the spine. Now here, when we sit, even though our feet aren't on the ground, we're trying to find this lifted samastitihi spine, lifting through the crown of the head. And then we'll just lightly gaze to a spot in front of our crossed legs. We'll take 10 more breaths here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
The last posture in this sitting practice, the short sitting or closing sequence, is done in lotus, but it's called Uttaplutihi, which means to be sprung up. So if you're in lotus, it's much easier. You can lift and look up. This isn't necessary for us. What I want you to do is place your palms flat on the ground. Try not to lift on the fingers or have the fingers pressed down, but rather press through the palm. Lean forward into the feet, and then really press down strongly and lift. And we'll do 10 breaths here. 1, 2, and if you start to shake, that's good. We're using some muscles we haven't used in a while. 3. Try to bring the head up and look forward. 4. If you're feeling strong, maybe you would lift one foot outside. 5. Maybe you'd lift the inside foot. 6. Maybe you could lift both feet. 7. Maybe none. It doesn't matter so much that you're making downward effort is what we want to do. 8. 9. And 10. And then you're going to sit back down. Now, in Ashtanga, we face vinyasas. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our best to work our way back to that hands and knees position. You can just roll over your knees, step back to the hands and knees. You can inhale, take cat, cow. Press yourself back up into the down dog. And then you're going to look through your hands, walk or step yourself right through. Lay back very nicely onto your mat. Turn your palms up. Let your feet splay open. And take what we call, take what is formerly known as Shavasana, or corpse posture, and breathe. Let your breath relax. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hips relax. Palms are up. Feet relax out. Let the breath come back to normal. And just breathe. A wonderful teacher of mine by the name of Fiona Stang would say, inhale, peace. Exhale, release. Inhale, peace. Exhale, release. Taking rest at the end of your practice is very important. It's better to do less postures and let your body relax and reset and recalibrate than it is to sneak in 3 or 4 extra postures and have to rush off into your day. The Mysore method is done predominantly in the Mysore room in the morning. So we want to try to let the body relax before we rush into our day. Inhale, peace. Exhale, release. Take a good 5 minutes here. And more than anything, we want, if you've become a little sweaty, just let the sweat dry. Let your heart rate come back to normal. Let your breath rate come back to normal. And above all, we want to feel rested, deeply rested. Inhale, peace. Exhale, release. When you feel like you've taken a long enough Shavasana, Then you can just gently wiggle your fingers, your toes. Wake your body up. Slowly roll to one side or the other. Get your bearings, relax. And then slowly come back up to sitting. Then you can get on with your day. So listen, Surya Namaskara A can be done by almost everyone. Even the first few postures, the first movements of inhaling the hands up and down, is accessible to everyone. So as Guruji told us, everyone can do this practice. And then they always put the little caveat at the end. Only lazy people can't do this practice. And if you're viewing this video, you're not lazy. So come onto your mat and get doing the work. Thanks. All right, see you again.